Good morning, everyone. It's Monday, and it's Monday and hope and encouragement. And I want to tell you what happened this weekend and tell you why hope matters. Uh, Hope is one of those things that is infectious, and once it catches, it's like a fire. I know several of you are trying to figure out how to reach your loved ones. You're trying to figure out what to say, how to do it. You're chasing every rabbit. You're actually over rescuing. There's all these kind of things, but that's not the way to do it. You have to ignite a fire that causes someone to want to stay and linger long enough to where they can find hope. So this is what happened on Saturday night. We had hope after abortion. Now, this story was relayed to me by a couple of the panel members, Jared and Sarah. But this is how hope works. You start sharing the gossip of hope, and other people are encouraged, and other people are enlightened. And it's not just about the event. It's about what happens when you allow someone to have hope. At Beautifully Broken Counseling, we do that all the time. We get the privilege of having someone come in our office. They tell us their story, and then when they tell us their story, we get to say to them, this is not the end of your story. There's more coming, and there is an excitement that begins to build. And when they begin to chase God's heart, and God begins to open up those things that have been hidden and begins to show them that He loves them no matter what they've been through, that is an amazing thing that happens. And so we wanted to share that with everyone. So Saturday night, we're having hope after abortion, and there were two interactions that night that were just otherworldly. Only God could have set those up. But it happened to be on the night that we were talking about two different sides of abortion. One where they had had abortions, or one of their children had been aborted and they didn't know about it. They were told it was a miscarriage, or someone was told they needed to abort because there were medical issues and they decided not to. So we had both of those. So we have these people that are coming, and these events, they're not big. They are mostly for the internet, and that's okay. God is keeping them small so that there can be miracles happen there. And so what happened was the night before, there was a man. He got some really bad news. I won't go into that because of privacy. He got some really bad news, and he decided he didn't want to be here, and he made some decisions that made that dangerous. And one of the panel members, he went to rescue this man and help him. And what he did was he brought him to the Hope event. So this man is sitting there. No one but a couple of us really know his story. We just know that the man is quiet. I gave him a Dilemma Book Method pamphlet, and I said, this is something that you can look at while you sit here. He heard the stories. His story was not similar to anyone on the panel, but he was weeping. And by the end, he was going to people, and they were praying over him. It was a beautiful thing. We probably only had 20 people, but those people were all ministering to this man, and they didn't know him. They didn't know anything other than he was broken and he needed to be prayed for. So there was little pockets everywhere of people praying with this man, and he was just the night before standing between heaven and earth. That's how hope works, because he got a dose of hope, and then we'll be able to get him some help and within our system and help him go a little bit further. But brokenness brought him to the point where someone stood in the gap. Then there was another story. Now, there was a young man, and he kept coming in and out of the church. He would sit on the back pew and walk out, come back in, and I began to pray for him. I said, Lord, I don't know what's going on with that man. I don't know if he's lost or whatever, but it was clear that he was not looking to stay. But then there was another man on the panel. He was a young man, and he was telling about how he had been told that his baby had been aborted, but it actually, it had a miscarriage, but the baby had actually been aborted, and that caused a lot of heartache. So he was sharing his story. So then the young man, he went back out, he came back in, he's sitting on the back pew. We don't know what's going on. And in today's society, you don't know if someone's coming in to make trouble. So I just began to pray for him, and I know others did too, because they saw him, a young man in his 20s. And so then Pastor Billy got up to speak, and he was talking about how his He had lost his daughter at 20 days. They were told at 20 weeks that she would not survive, but God gave them 20 days. And he was telling about how God loves us and loves him. And there was one time with this young man, he got up to walk out, and he got right around the corner, and Pastor Billy in his sermon said, Jesus really loves you. And I watched that man's head snap back, and he almost came back in, but he didn't. He kept walking. Well, then he came back. When he came back, he remembered those stories. And at the end of every Hope event, what we do is we play a song called Go Tell the World About Him. It's called The Commission. And as it plays, our panel members, they come down into the audience, and they are invited to go and speak to any of the panel members. It is a very unique way of doing an invitation. It's not where you have to walk up front. You actually can go and speak to a specific person. Well, this young man actually needed a ride. That's what he was there for. He was looking for a ride, and he happened to be walking by at the same time we were having a Hope event. That's not the biggest thing. When he came down and talked to Jared, Jared was the young man who thought he had lost his baby in miscarriage, but it wasn't. Then what happened was he told Jared that he had lost his baby. She was 3. And so they had a commonality. And then Jared and Sarah took it the extra mile, and they took him home. They gave him a ride. And on the way, they led him to the Lord. Now, I don't know where this young man is today. I pray that he is in a church and that someone's helping him. But what I'm saying is, with hope, there is something that happens that draws people in at the right time, in the right way, with their heart tenderized from the pain. If we will just have our eyes open, if we will just be present, then that's all we have to do a lot of times. I want to tell you, I walked away from Saturday. At first I was like, okay, God, I would like a good attendance because I want people to hear about hope. I want people to hear about you. But if we had had a crowd that night, I don't think this young man would have stayed. I think he would have been intimidated. So it's not about the amount of people that are there. This is going to go out on the internet. The Hope events will be going out on the internet. Other people will be touched. There were amazing stories that night. I was blown away. I had been kind of under pressure since we started doing these events because the devil does not want us to have hope. That's the last thing he wants us to have. And so I was under pressure, and it was really weighing on me. There are times I thought, gosh, I just don't know why I'm doing this. I want to quit. And God would say, no, you can't quit. And so I would get back up, and I said, okay, let's just get another step for one more time. And after that, it was like all of that lifted, and I didn't even know what had happened with that young man until later. But I knew that something in the spirit had shifted. If you're looking for hope, you don't have to come to these events. Just go to our Hope page. Watch those stories. If they resonate with you and you want to connect with someone there, let me know. I'll help you connect with them. They will be more than glad to help you. There was a lady there that spoke. She's had multiple abortions, and she helps other women get free. And she's doing a beautiful and phenomenal job. She told about the effects of the abortion pill and how that is actually worse because that happens in your home. She went into detail. It was not fun to hear, but it was truth. And she did a beautiful job, and she has walked this. She knows about it, and she can help you virtually. So her name is Mindy, and is called An Even Place. An Even Place. If you need me to help you connect with her, I'll be glad to. But listen, hope is the answer for what we're dealing with right now. If you can be a person of hope, you will draw people, because that is what levelizes all of us. When we have these events, we do have people on the panel that have, education and titles and all that, but we don't go into that because in our brokenness, we are all equal, we are all the same, and we need hope. So that's why we're there. So I love you. I thank you. If we can help you at Beautifully Broken Counseling, that's what we do. We help you find hope because we are pastoral counselors. We are not bound by the DSM where we have to give you a diagnosis and make you feel worse. That's been part of the problem with psychology. We can give hope because we know we don't have all the answers, but God does. So have a great day. You can call me at 615-332-4389. I'm Dr. Kathy. Or you can even call Dr. Todd at 615-332-2507. Or you can go to our website. There's an intake form. Fill it out. If you want to come to the next Hope event, it's going to be on the 29th of July. It's Hope in Chronic Illness. And we're going to have a living celebration for someone with a brain tumor. We're going to celebrate someone who has been healed of cancer, and we're going to celebrate someone who has walked with mental illness with their family and even suicide. So we're going to talk about these things. We're going to heal from these things, and I can't wait to see what God does next. All right, here's hope, and I just pray that you'll have a lot today. All right, bye-bye.